Well, I'm glad that the Timberwolves, recognized, her life and the tragic nature of her death, and it's shameful, really, that in our country we can have law enforcement officers who commit murder and seemingly get away with it. It's shameful that the government can come out and lie about what happened when there's video and witnesses who have all come out and disputed what the government is saying. So very demoralizing, devastating to lose anyone's life, especially in that matter. So it's terribly sad for her family and for her and for that city, and I'm glad the Timberwolves came out and expressed that sadness.
Let's talk about NBA champion and Golden State Warriors head coach Steve Kerr.
I know very well that speaking out about politics these days comes with risks. I can see the shut up and whistle tweets being fired off as we speak. But I also knew as soon as I was asked that it was too important as an American citizen not to speak up in an election of this magnitude.
Remember this quote, because he understood the risks.
The reason I said yes to speaking here tonight is that as a coach and former player, as a husband, a son, a father, even a grandfather, and as an American, I believe in a certain kind of leadership. I believe that leaders must display dignity. I believe that leaders must tell the truth. I believe that leaders should be able to laugh at themselves. I believe leaders must care for and love the people they are leading. I believe leaders must possess knowledge and expertise, but with the full awareness that none of us has all the answers. And in fact, some of the best answers often come from members of the team. And if you look for those qualities in your friends or your boss or an employee or your child's teacher or your mayor, then shouldn't you want those same qualities in your president?
He practically knew speaking out would cause friction.
The president, because it's instead of unifying and trying to calm the storm, he's creating it over and over again. We see it with his tweets every day. Well, I mean, I believe in democracy, and I think the American people have spoken and voted for Trump, and I want him to do well the next 4 years. I want our country to do well. It's a complex world. We've got a lot of interesting stuff between wars abroad and a global economy that has shifted everything in terms of what it means for our citizens and their day-to-day lives. And I'm well aware I live in a bubble, and I'm one of the luckiest people on earth. And so I want what's best for us, and I hope Trump can deliver that.
And with other factors at play, his fate may very well be sealed. The Athletic's Nick Friedel wrote, league and team sources said throughout the season that Kerr's desire to speak candidly on social and political issues has at times caused internal frustration. Veteran journalist Mark Spears said during a radio interview this week that one reason Kerr may be hesitant to return is that he has felt stifled at times. Then he'd give an interview to the New Yorker, where he stated, I think we're as weak as we've ever been as a country, at least in a long time, because our leadership is so misguided. There's a lack of humility, a lack of dignity, a lack of understanding of the world, a lack of embracing other perspectives, the belligerence. On Trump, he would say, he definitely has taken advantage of that to gain and to consolidate power, and he's using it to drive a wedge between all of us. He's not the only one who's done that, but he's the president. He's got the most power. But calling the president a buffoon, I kind of regret that, even though I felt it in my heart. It's better to point out policy decisions, but also American values. What's wrong with the things that he does? Lastly, when asked beyond gun violence, what are you most concerned about in today's America? Kerr would reply, we don't really have a middle class, and we don't have what used to represent the American dream, which was you can do better than your parents. We're going backward on all that. Our family is lucky. I'm in a position where my family can live well, but there are millions of people out there, young people, who are looking at the horizon and saying, I did everything I was told I needed to do, and I can't buy a house, and I can't chase my dream. Think about what that means for the stability of communities and cities and a whole country. Lastly, from Friedel, whether that becomes a deciding factor remains unclear. What is clear is that optimism inside the organization about Kerr's return has faded in recent weeks. Multiple team sources have stressed that no decision has been made and won't be made until Kerr meets with Joe Lacob, the owner, Mike Dunleavy Jr., the GM, but staffers have begun to brace themselves for the possibility of change. If this is the end for Steve Kerr, here is my final sign-off for him as well. If someone were to have the history that he did, where his father is a teacher, a professor at a school, and he gets murdered, and because of the violence that took place in the Middle East when they were in Beirut, they basically had to be smuggled out of the area. He was driven through windy roads. A driver of his, Steve Kerr's, died. And he was somehow, some way, as violence is taking place all around them, get out. You're telling me, with that history and the times that we are living in right now, that their patience is running thin? What this shows to me is not only is ownership heavily in favor of fascism, which we have seen over and over again, but what they are telling Steve Kerr is shut up and coach. Stop speaking out politically. We don't like what you're doing. Do they hold that same notion for Stephen Curry? Who, by the way, should be critiqued on some things, but he's spoken out. Do they have that same energy for Draymond Green? Also should be critiqued on some things. No, they don't. It's just Steve Kerr. And he has even said, I wouldn't want to hang Steph out to dry. I wouldn't want to leave Steph, because they have been essentially linked since Mark Jackson was fired. And he even created the whole Splash Brothers notion with Klay Thompson and Stephen Curry. It is really not only out of touch, but the audacity of the ultra-rich to try and basically control speech is really something. It is. I was reading through, and Joe Lacob will respond to emails, and I'm going to cite the source here. This is via Alex Simon of SF Gate. When a fan emailed Joe Lacob, and he responded some 2 minutes later. And he was talking about, the fan was about some of the critiques that they had, over the team. This is when Jonathan Kuminga was trying to force a trade and get out. And one of the things that Joe Lacob said was coach's desire for players, which is also striking, because why would you throw a single member of your team under the bus? But in a way, he did. But it just strikes me as odd. You are worth billions and billions of dollars. And the only reason that you are trying to curb your head coach's speech is simply because you don't agree with it. And now is the perfect time, because your roster has aged. It really has. You're basically no better than a play-in team, and you need someone to fall on the sword. And you are pushing Steve Kerr closer and closer to it. I don't think after stuff like this gets out, it's an indicator that Steve Kerr is probably done. He can go into broadcasting. He can go into whatever businesses he wants to. He can, work with the DNC, which of course we should have our critiques over as well. But I think this is it. I think this is all she wrote. And if it is, what a hell of a legacy to leave with. Hey, I appreciate you watching. Now, if you can, please do become a channel member by going to youtube.com/tytsports and clicking the join button. If that's too much for you, you can just go to tyt.com/join to become a member. It helps all of us out here at the Young Turks and keeps our network afloat. In addition, you could follow me on my socials on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Appreciate the love. Have a great day.